In the world of American coinage, few modern issues capture as much fascination as the 1996 P. Washington $quarter coin. At first glance, it may seem like just another quarter, one of the billions struck for circulation during the 1990s. After all, millions of these coins move through the hands of Americans every day to pay for groceries, gas, or soda. Yet behind the ordinary appearance of the 1996 P quarter lies a surprising story of rarity, collector obsession, and auction room drama that has turned certain examples into prized treasures worth as much as $210,000. This is not simply about a coin, but about the history it represents, the design it carries, and the relentless passion of collectors who chase after near perfection. The Washington quarter had already been in circulation for over 6 decades when the 1996 issue was struck. Originally introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the design by sculptor John Flanagan quickly became a staple of American coinage. The obverse showcases Washington's left-facing bust, bold and commanding, a reminder of a nation's founding father. The reverse, dominated by the heraldic eagle with wings spread, arrows in its talons, and olive branches beneath, symbolized America's strength in defense and peace in diplomacy. By 1996, this design was deeply familiar to Americans, so much so that many barely noticed it when it passed from hand to hand. But for collectors, every small detail mattered. Every strike, every mint mark, every error. The 1996 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia, marked by its characteristic P. This particular year carried significance because the U.S. Mint struck the coin in both circulation quality and as part of special sets, marking the 65th anniversary of the Washington Quarter Series. While circulation strikes numbered in the hundreds of millions, the truly rare gems were those struck with exceptional precision and preserved in pristine condition. The truth is, most quarters struck for everyday use in the 1990s suffered from common production flaws. Weak strikes, bag marks from rough handling, or surface imperfections from high-speed minting. Few were saved in untouched, flawless condition. That scarcity in near-perfect state is what fuels the coin's extraordinary value today. Collectors and grading services have shown that the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth 6 figures often comes down to condition. A 1996 P quarter pulled from circulation, even if lightly worn, is worth only its face value. But one preserved in mint state 68 or 69, certified by professional grading services, can bring stunning prices. At repeated auctions, collectors have battled fiercely over such examples, driving prices higher and higher as they realize how few exist in immaculate condition. The Philadelphia Mint itself added another layer of interest. Because no mint sets were issued for 1982 and 1983, collectors remembered all too well how quickly modern quarters could vanish in top quality. By 1996, that memory fueled even more caution, and yet still, the vast majority of 1996 P quarters entered circulation. Those who saved original rolls or mint-sealed bags unknowingly safeguarded potential treasures, but only a tiny percentage of those coins survived without marks. The rarity of top-grade examples makes them legends in the coin world today. Adding to the coin's allure are its varieties and errors. Collectors have documented examples of double dies, off-center strikes, and other striking anomalies in the 1996 P issue. These minting mistakes are fascinating windows into the production process and command premium prices on their own. A double die obverse with noticeable distortion in the lettering or Washington's profile is enough to ignite bidding wars among enthusiasts. Combine such an error with high-grade condition, and the value can climb exponentially. Auction houses have repeatedly showcased the star power of this coin. Time and again, the 1996 P. Washington quarter in superb condition has crossed the block and stunned audiences with a hammer price. Stories circulate of spirited bidding battles, where collectors, determined not to let go of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, push the final price far beyond expectations. These repeated auction results serve as proof that modern coins, when rare enough, can rival or even surpass the values of much older classics. It is a reminder that rarity is not defined only by age, but by survival, condition, and demand. For collectors who remember 1996, there is also an emotional element to owning this quarter. That year, the U.S. Mint was on the verge of launching the state quarter program, which would begin 1999 and transform coin collecting by introducing millions of new hobbyists to the field. The 1996 P quarter, then, represents the closing years of the classic eagle reverse design before America embarked on a bold new series. In that way, it marks the end of an era while standing as a bridge to the modern collecting boom. The artistry of the design remains another point of admiration. Washington's portrait, though critiqued over the years for its stylistic simplicity, carries a timeless authority. The eagle on the reverse conveys strength and balance, a visual reminder of America's values. In pristine examples, with strong strikes and brilliant luster, the coin takes on a beauty that ordinary, worn quarters simply cannot match. It is this combination of artistry, rarity, and condition that makes the 1996 P quarter such a desirable piece. When we talk about value, it is impossible not to focus on the staggering sums this coin has reached. In repeated auctions, high-grade examples have sold for thousands, tens of thousands, and in the most extraordinary cases, as much as $210,000. Each sale reinforces the coin's reputation and encourages collectors to keep searching rolls, boxes, and old collections, hoping to uncover a hidden gem. The dream of finding one tucked away in an old coin jar is what keeps the thrill of collecting alive. This remarkable value teaches a powerful lesson in numismatics. Do not overlook modern coins. While many assume that only centuries-old coins hold great worth, the 1996 P. Washington quarter proves otherwise. Its combination of historical context, striking design, scarcity in top grades, and repeated auction records has made it one of the most sought-after quarters of the late 20th century. The next time you see a quarter dated 1996 with a P mint mark, look closely. What may seem like just another piece of pocket change could, under the right circumstances, be a small fortune waiting to be discovered. In the most exceptional cases, this unassuming coin has stunned collectors and investors alike, reaching a jaw-dropping $210,000 at auction. And that is the magic of coin collecting. The chance that hidden treasure might be resting quietly in your hands, carrying with it not just monetary value, but a story of history, artistry, and passion repeated through the years at auctions across the country. The 1983 P. Washington quarter is one of those remarkable coins that teaches us an important lesson in numismatics. Never underestimate the power of history, circumstance, and chance in determining rarity and value. At first glance, a 1983 quarter might seem like nothing more than an ordinary piece of pocket change. After all, billions of Washington quarters have been struck since the series first began in 1932. Yet the 1983 P quarter carries a fascinating story of economic struggles, changes in the minting process, collector frustrations, and extraordinary rarity in high-grade condition. When all of these factors collide, we get a coin that has repeatedly astonished collectors at auctions, with certain examples achieving staggering figures, including the most extraordinary cases where values have soared all the way to $365,500. To understand the significance of the 1983 P. Washington quarter, we have to look back at the context of the early 1980s. America was in a period of economic difficulty, with inflation, recession, and a transition in currency circulation that deeply affected the coin hobby. In fact, the U.S. Mint made a decision in 1982 and 1983 that would forever change the way collectors view coins from these years. They did not release official mint sets for collectors. For decades, mint sets have been the reliable way for coin enthusiasts to obtain fresh, high-quality examples of every year's coinage. Without these sets, collectors had no direct pipeline to pristine coins. Instead, the only way to obtain coins from 1983 in gem condition was to pull them directly from circulation or rolls. This seemingly small change created one of the most dramatic conditions for scarcity in modern numismatic history. The Washington quarter itself carried the classic design by John Flanagan, first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. The obverse features the bold left-facing profile of Washington, while the reverse showcases the heraldic eagle, wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. This design had long symbolized the strength and dignity of the United States, and by 1983, it had become an iconic part of everyday life. Millions of Americans carried this design in their pockets daily, often without giving it much thought. But beneath this familiar surface, the 1983 P. Washington quarter hides a story of immense rarity and exceptional condition. Philadelphia struck millions of quarters in 1983, but the quality control of this era was notoriously poor. Weak strikes, Planchet flaws, die wear, and overall rough production standards meant that most 1983 P quarters looked battered even when brand new. Combined with the absence of mint sets, this meant that virtually all of the coins entered circulation, where they quickly accumulated scratches, dings, and heavy wear. By the time collectors realized the scarcity of high-grade 1983 quarters, most of the mintage had been permanently damaged through everyday use. This is why finding a gem-quality 1983 P. Washington quarter today is such an extraordinary feat. Coins that survive in mint state 65, 66, or higher are exceedingly rare, and those certified at the very top levels by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are considered true treasures. When they appear at auction, they ignite fierce bidding wars. Collectors know that owning one is not just about having a coin. It's about possessing a piece of numismatic history tied to one of the most challenging collecting years in modern coinage. Adding to the intrigue, the 1983 P quarter has produced several remarkable varieties and errors. Some of the most famous are the dramatic double-die obverse and reverse varieties, which feature noticeable doubling in the lettering or details. These errors are scarce and highly desirable, further fueling the quarter's mystique. Other striking errors, such as off-center strikes or coins struck on the wrong planchet, have surfaced from 1983, making this year one of the most exciting for error collectors as well. Each unique piece tells its own story of minting mishaps during a chaotic repeated auctions. The 1983 P. Washington quarter has proven its status as a modern rarity. In pristine condition, examples have sold for thousands, tens of thousands, and even beyond six figures. Some of the most celebrated cases involve coins pulled from rolls that were carefully preserved, never touched by circulation. When such coins reach the market, they command extraordinary attention from collectors who have waited years, sometimes decades, to secure one. The demand is fueled by the knowledge that the supply is painfully limited, and once such coins disappear into private collections, they may not resurface for many years. The emotional connection collectors feel toward the 1983 P quarter cannot be overstated. For many hobbyists who began collecting in the 1980s, the absence of mint sets in 1982 and 1983 was a bitter disappointment. It forced them to search harder, dig deeper, and rely on persistence to find coins worth keeping. That struggle makes the coins from those years, especially the quarters, symbols of dedication and determination in the numismatic community. When these coins appear at auction today, the bidding reflects not just the coin's rarity, but also the memories and frustrations of an entire generation of collectors who lived through that era. The artistry of John Flanagan Washington quarter design also deserves mention. By 1983, some critics argued that the design had grown outdated, but others saw it as timeless. The bold portrait of Washington, paired with the commanding eagle reverse, represented continuity in a world of change. This enduring design, paired with the unusual circumstances of the 1980s, makes the 1983 P quarter a powerful symbol of American resilience and tradition. AS auctions continue to prove the value of the 1983 P. Washington quarter in high grade is nothing short of astounding. Each time a near-perfect specimen comes to market, it commands attention across the collecting world. Prices have climbed dramatically over the decades, with the most outstanding coins setting new records and reaching levels once thought impossible for a clad quarter. In the most sensational cases, values have climbed as high as $365,500, a figure that would have been unimaginable when the coin was first struck. These repeated auction triumphs have cemented the 1983 P quarter's reputation as one of the most valuable and sought-after modern U.S. coins. The lesson here is both simple and profound. Never assume that a coin must be old to be valuable. The 1983 P. Washington quarter is proof that scarcity, condition, and historical context can combine to create immense value, even in coins struck within living memory. Collectors continue to hunt rolls, search inherited jars of change, and check every 1983 quarter they encounter, hoping against hope that they might stumble across a hidden gem. The dream of finding such a treasure keeps the excitement alive. So, when you look at a 1983 P. Washington quarter today, don't see just another piece of pocket change. See a symbol of resilience during an economic struggle, a reminder of the frustrations and dedication of collectors in the 1980s, and a potential key to unlocking unimaginable value. This coin is shown again and again in repeated auctions that it deserves its legendary status. And in the most remarkable cases, its value has soared all the way to $365,500, proving once more that history can hide in plain sight, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a little bit of luck to uncover it. The 1965 Washington Quarter is one of those fascinating coins that proves that what might seem like an ordinary piece of change can actually hold an extraordinary story. At first glance, the 1965 quarter looks like just another coin we have all handled countless times. But when you dig deeper, you uncover a tale of transition, rarity, history, and incredible collector value. It was a year when America's coinage was undergoing a massive transformation, when the nation said goodbye to silver in circulating quarters and moved toward a new copper-nickel-clad composition. For many collectors, the 1965 quarter marks not just the start of a new era in U.S. minting, but also the possibility of finding treasures hidden in plain sight, some of which have sold at repeated auctions for jaw-dropping amounts, with the rarest examples reaching as high as $400,000. The story begins with the state of the U.S. economy in the early 1960s. Silver prices were climbing, and the cost of producing coins with silver content was quickly becoming unsustainable. The U.S. Mint faced a crisis. Every day, people were hoarding silver coins, melting them down, or simply holding them as an investment. By 1964, the shortage of coins in circulation became severe, and drastic measures were needed. The government made the pivotal decision to remove silver from the quarter and replace it with a copper-nickel-clad composition beginning in 1965. This change was monumental, and the very first year of the new composition, the 1965 Washington Quarter, became a symbol of that transformation. The Washington Quarter itself had been in production since 1932, honoring the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse featured a bold portrait of the nation's first president, while the reverse displayed the heraldic eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing both strength and peace. This design remained largely unchanged for decades, and in 1965 it continued to represent stability during a time of great change. The difference now was not the design, but what lay beneath the surface: the removal of silver from the coin's core. While millions of 1965 Washington quarters were struck, the transition year created unique opportunities for error coins and rare varieties to emerge. Some coins were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets intended for 1964 quarters. These rare 1965 silver quarters are the ultimate prize for collectors. They look almost identical to the clad versions, but can be distinguished by their weight and sound, as well as careful examination by grading experts. These silver-struck 1965 quarters are incredibly scarce, and when they appear at auction, they repeatedly break records, with collectors battling fiercely to own a piece of this rare minting accident. Even the standard-clad 1965 quarters can become treasures in the right condition. Most coins entered circulation and suffered the usual wear and tear, with scratches, nicks, and loss of luster. But a select few survived in pristine mint state condition, carefully preserved or discovered in unopened rolls. High-grade examples certified by PCGS or NGC in mint state 67 or higher are remarkably rare. These coins have sold in repeated auctions for astonishing sums, with bidding wars driving prices from the tens of thousands into the six-figure range. Collectors value them not only for their rarity, but also for what they represent: the very beginning of the clad era in U.S. coinage. Another fascinating detail about the 1965 Washington Quarter is its context in minting history. To discourage hoarding and speculation, the Mint did not place mint marks on quarters from 1965 through 1967. This means all 1965 quarters appear without a mint mark, adding to the sense of mystery for collectors trying to trace their origins. They were struck at multiple mints, including Philadelphia and Denver, but without the mint mark to distinguish them. All carry uniform appearance. This makes the rare silver versions even more intriguing, as identifying them requires expert testing, making them hidden gems among an ocean of clad coins. The artistry of the coin itself is another reason collectors remain fascinated by the 1965 quarter. John Flanagan portrait of Washington, with its noble profile and clean lines, has become one of the most iconic images in U.S. coinage. The reverse eagle design, though eventually replaced in 1999 with the state quarters program, stood proudly for decades as a symbol of American resilience. In 1965, this design carried even more symbolic weight, marking the nation's resilience as it adapted to a new coinage system in the face of economic pressures. T repeated auctions. Stories of remarkable 1965 quarters continue to surface. One example of a silver 1965 quarter discovered in circulation stunned the collecting world when it sold for a massive sum. Another, in impeccable mint state, fetched six figures after intense bidding. Time and again, these coins reappear in auctions, and each sale adds to their legend, inspiring collectors to keep searching their own pocket change, bank rolls, and inherited coin collections. The dream that an ordinary-looking 1965 quarter could turn out to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars keeps the hunt alive. The emotional connection collectors have with this coin is undeniable. It represents more than metal. It represents a turning point in U.S. history, a time when Americans saw silver vanish from their everyday coins. For many who lived through the 1960s, the 1965 quarter is a memory of that change, and for younger generations, it is a piece of history to hold in their hands. This combination of nostalgia, history, and rarity makes it irresistible at auctions, where bidders are not just buying a coin, but also buying a story that connects them to a pivotal moment in the nation's past. What makes the 1965 Washington quarter so unique is that it bridges two worlds. On one hand, it is a modern clad coin produced in enormous numbers. On the other, it carries the possibility of being a silver-struck rarity or a high-grade survivor worth an absolute fortune. This duality ensures that it continues to capture the imagination of collectors and investors alike. And with each auction that brings another record-breaking sale, the allure only grows stronger. As we bring this story full circle, the true magic of the 1965 Washington quarter becomes clear. It is more than just a quarter-dollar piece. It is a reminder that history can hide in plain sight, that what appears ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary. It has proven again and again at repeated auctions that its value goes far beyond 25 cents, with the rarest and most exceptional examples selling for life-changing amounts. And in the most incredible cases, the value of a 1965 rare Washington quarter has soared all the way to $400,000. The next time you find a 1965 quarter in a collection or even in circulation, don't overlook it. Examine it carefully, weigh it, and consider its condition, because it might just be one of those rare treasures that numismatic history has rewarded so richly. This coin reminds us that the thrill of discovery is alive and well, and that even in something as small as a quarter-dollar coin, there lies the possibility of uncovering greatness, rarity, and immense value.